live from the HAPS TV app. So I didn't get a chance to do this past Friday morning's live like I thought I was going to be able to. So I decided to make a Monday morning quarterback. So this is going to be a new feature for Adams Rib Media Ministries and Adams Rib TV. Um, I was going to have this for just in case I missed Fridays. I could pick it up on Mondays and it'll still have that it'll still be that feature because I don't want to go more than a week without touching base and doing updates. However, I decided to go ahead and make this an additional feature. So now I will be doing Friday morning Revelations, Fresh Numa, and Monday mornings. So, reading off my notes here, whatever. But now I decided I would have it in addition to Friday. So I'm still going to do Friday morning live, which I'm gonna do this Friday morning, this coming Friday morning. But I'm also going to do Monday morning. I mean Monday morning quarterback. Take on those of us who take on those of us who like to watch professional football on Sundays, and everybody likes to sit and analyze what plays the players made and what mistakes they made and what they need to do better next time. So this is kind of my take on weekend hijinks that I have gotten into. I also will be talking about any movies that I went and saw over the weekend or any movies that I sat home and watched. I am a bit of a cinephile. I love cinema. I've loved going to the movies ever since I was a little kid. So, and to talk about anything else, recommend any restaurants, any food places, because I am a foodie, and anything else that I feel like you ought to try. Um, I also will be talking about, just different things. If I went to a concert, I'll be talking about that. So just different things that I got into over the weekend. So this weekend, I think all of us were pretty much kind of snowed in. A lot of businesses weren't open because of the whole ice storm and everything. So we were all in. Um, for those of you who enjoy warmer temperatures, do not take that for granted because I'm here to tell you one thing about living in the Midwest or living in states where you have, seasons. You learn how not to take nice weather for granted you learn not to take spring and summer for granted when they get here, because I'm here to tell you, especially here in Ohio, like in the Midwest states like Ohio, man, especially like we don't tend to get it before Christmas. Like we don't have that traditional Christmas snow. What we have is Christmas will come in and it may or may not be white, but you can count on January in Ohio. Oh my goodness, after the new year, that's when we get hit. And we get hit majorly. And it's horrible. We will get like, we will get we will get weather up this way that will make freeze, freezing gonna be standing outside going, damn, I'm glad I'm not over there because it's terrible. It gets horrible. We get some horrible snowstorms. I remember the one ice storm we had up here where people's power went out and we had to go to a hotel for a few days until our power came back on. It was awful. So it can get, for people think snow and snow can be just as damaging as any hurricane. Like every place on the globe, I think, has its own share of weather that can be horrible. Okay. Okay, so for whatever reason, I think that HAPS right now is trying to put us in a position of being able to be connected to TikTok, which I'm really happy about. I'm happy anytime we're um, able to expand what we're able to do here. Um, what we're able to do here. in order to reach, an audience. My HAPS channel happens to be an extension of the 7 blogs that I have, that are all reflective of different interests of mine. So anytime I'm able to, you know, expound on subjects and talk and everything, I'm a happy woman. So, if you haven't paid attention to social media, the new Versus artists have been announced and they are sold out already in the area that they're in. So the new Versus is going to be Music Soul Child versus Anthony Hamilton. I know. Okay. And so it is going to be on the 15th, the day after Valentine's Day. I know, but still, a little bit of post Valentine's mixed with Black History Month and everything. It's going, and I think it's going to be at about 7 or 8 o'clock. I will know for sure this Friday. So, I am going to be doing a dedication. Eclectic Music Geek Podcast will be doing a live broadcast, and we'll be dedicating a broadcast to them. That's going to be the 12th at midnight. The music, I already have the music up on my Spotify. I know Spotify's dealing with a lot of controversy right now. So I made a playlist of the two artists, body of work, in addition to some other artists, and I'm gonna go into that in a minute. So all of their stuff is on there, and when I do my playlist, I like to enhance them. So there are going to be other artists that have similar styles to both guys. I think this is a good matchup. I am so if you want to see the battle, they will be on the usual places: Triller, Instagram. Now they're starting to go live on YouTube. I don't know if they're going to be featured on Fight TV this time or not. Because when I looked, I didn't see it. So my I will be dedicating. It's available. The playlist will be available on Spotify under Adams Rib 66. We also have a concert coming up. The same night I'm doing my broadcast, so I will be available. My hours will be after the concert, so the people who are after concert goers will be able to listen to the show. I didn't know about it until just now. I'm unable to go. Um, so the concert is the Valentine's Love Affair. It's Saturday the 12th. Actually, I will be on the air before the concert because because technically, um, I air on Friday nights. I like Friday nights because Friday night is like the beginning of the weekend. You've come in from working hard all week. You're putting your feet up. If in Ohio, typically if we haven't gone out, if we're not going out clubbing, we may be throwing a pajama party for our kids or for ourselves, because some of us ladies like to have grown women pajama parties. But or we're renting videos or streaming. And we're just in for the evening, and we're chilling. The busiest nights for pizza delivery and food delivery, when I used to deliver DoorDash, Friday was a good day to work because we brought in that cheddar. We brought in that cheddar, made extra tips because everybody was eating in with their relatives or with their sweetie. And so they will actually be that Saturday night. So I will be that Saturday morning, so I won't be greeting the after concert goers. I had that wrong. But I will be, but I also added, so that will be that night at 8 p.m. at, I think it's at Nationwide Arena. It's at Nationwide Arena. If you haven't bought tickets already, they're pretty reasonably priced for the lineup that they're getting. So the lineup for this is going to be Monica, which I got to see the last time she was here, Escape 3. And so for those of you who don't know, Escape 3 is the two sisters, um, and Tiny. Um, and Tiny, T.I.'s wife, Tiny. Um, Mine is, so it's basically Escape, but mine is Candy, from the Real Housewives. So Escape 3, Stokely, mint condition, H Town. So those of you who are Mint Condition fans, you know Stokely was their lead singer at one point. And so I'm like, shoot, most people have gone solo. Like that tells you just how satisfied he was to be their lead singer for so long. Because most people approach lead singers like relatively early and start getting in their ear about going solo. And he just started going solo, I say, within the last few years and everything. H Town and 112, who you know is part of the '90s R&B boy band thing. So I've added 4 songs from each of these artists um, into the playlist that I already had for Anthony Hamilton and Music Soul Child so that you guys can hear them. And one of the things about Spotify's playlist is you can enhance it. So when you enhance, it adds artists that are similar to the artists that you have made your playlist about. So if you want to listen and you have a Spotify account, you can go under Adams Rib Media. You can go under Adams Rib 66 and click on and follow my page there and listen to any of the playlists that I've made up. So, for February TV watching, if you haven't started already. So, we need to talk about Bill Cosby. I recommend, if you are a Bill Cosby fan, I recommend that you see this documentary. I think many people have tried to shut themselves out of listening to the victims, and you have people I see, especially young men making remarks like, "Did you see what these women look like?" Blah blah blah. Kamal Bell does a very good timeline of not only what was going on in Mr. Cosby's career, but where the women were and where he met them. He has pictures of what they look like at the time that Mr. Cosby committed his crimes. Um, Comedy Hype has a really good has a does a piece on a young man, and eerily, if you see pictures of this guy, I can't remember what his name is. I think it's Eric something. I can't remember the last name, but the guy turned out to be he was a stand up comic, and during while he was on tour, he was serial raping women, and it's very eerie. He looks a lot like Mr. Cosby's deceased son, Ennis. And it talks about it, and it does talk about, and he includes the murder of Ennis Cosby in the documentary. He talks about everything that was going on with Bill. He talks about what, where he was in his career, the different shows that he was doing during that time, where he was in his career, the different things that he had going on. He even touches on the tragedy of the murder of Bill Cosby's son. So he was also like going through a whole lot during some of this stuff, not to make excuses. He also includes different people who have worked with Bill Cosby over the years, and different people who were told about the behavior. So if you are, and I say that you owe it to yourself to see it, because I think you owe it to yourself to hear both sides of this argument so that you can decide, so that you make a decision as to how you feel about this whole thing. He even goes into why so many people are the conspiracy theory behind, Bill Cosby, quote, buying NBC. He also talks about the background of why are so many people, are corralling around Mr. Cosby and trying to support him and everything through this. So he did a very good job, and you owe it to yourself to see this film. Janet Jackson's documentary on Lifetime. So, from what I'm hearing, I guess the documentary is getting kind of mixed reviews. She touched on, there was mention of her most recent soon to be ex, but not a lot. Um, I think when people have to understand that when you decide to make a documentary, you have to deal with a lot of pushback because not everybody wants you to tell them, because you may have been a very unflattering person in their life. To be honest with you, like most of the stuff, because I remember like a lot of the stuff, I watched it. It is a very good documentary. She did a really good job. One of the things I've always liked about the Jackson family is that they don't pull no punches when it comes to who they get to do something and work on a project with them. They hire the best, they hire quality, and it was a really good documentary. My only thing is, when it comes to documentaries, we tend to think of a documentary as being something that's going to present us with the facts. So when people do their own documentaries, um, I'm always, well, you're going to paint yourself in the best way possible, which, Janet hasn't always had a bad image to begin with. The Jackson family basically has always kind of had what they call a wholesome image, even though, rumors have broke out through the years of different things that some of them have gotten into. And I remember somebody, well, what do you think about that? And I'm like, so the Jackson men are like a lot of men in the entertainment industry that are very successful, but maybe might have messy love lives. like, I don't. I personally wanted her to touch on the whole Bobby Brown thing. She never mentioned it because I wanted to know that, did you do that or did you not do that? I didn't feel. I still don't feel like there's no secret, baby. As litigious as people are nowadays, and like I said, that baby, if there was a baby, that baby would have been about 35, 36, 37, almost 40 years old. Okay, believe it or not, as good as Janet looks for her age, she is old enough to have a nearly 35 to 40-year-old kid. The one young lady, and she addressed the whole them saying that Randy's child was hers. I'm like, well, unless she belonged to somebody else, she couldn't have been with James DeBarge, because that was way back. I remember that when I was in high school when that happened. Yeah, when it was all over the papers that she had married a member of the DeBarge family. Because I remember DeBarge all the way back to high school. I remember their older brothers Tommy and Bobby with the group Switch all the way back to middle school. And I'm 55. So that Switch, they go pretty far back. Um, so if she'd have had a baby with James DeBarge or whatever, and like I told somebody, even if any of that were true, there she would not be the first person to decide that she would not want to raise a child with the career that she has and decide to let somebody else raise it. It's not that big a deal to me. It's not going to stop me from being a fan of hers. But I just find the idea of a secret baby really far fetched. I just really do. Um, if there is, they're now saying that there's a young lady out there that's DNA matches James DeBarge. Whether or not matches Janet, we'll see. I'm not worried about it, and I'm not holding my breath. There's a couple of movies coming up on the streaming services between Showtime and HBO Max. Everything's gonna be all white is on Showtime. Same as Bill. We need to talk about Bill Cosby. Um, they're both on Showtime. They'll be coming up this week, closer to the weekend. Um, for those of you who were waiting to see Lenny Kravitz's daughter, Zoe Kravitz, do Selena Kyle, the Catwoman, which is still coming up, but she has a movie on HBO Max called Kimmy. So if you want to see her, you want to see her, if you want to see her, I think Kimmy might be her directorial debut as well. I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that. Look up the information for yourself. But everything I've ever saw her in, she was really, really good. She's a really good actress. So show your love and support where you can, and check her out. Single Black Female was on Lifetime over this weekend. So if you don't know, Single Black Female is a kind of a take. If you remember back in the 90s, the late 80s, early 90s, Bridget Fonda had a film called Single White Female that was her, and I believe the other young lady was Ali Sheedy. And it was sort of a fatal attraction, but with females, not lesbian. They were both straight, but the one woman began to emulate and copycat the other woman. Well, this one, we have two of my faves, um, Raven Goodman from Being Mary Jane. You know, she was Mary Jane's emotionally troubled niece that just seemed to kept getting in a whole lot of stuff and never had no real direction to her life. Um, she plays a Oprah like TV journalist that that is, navigating her way in media and becoming a very famous person and becoming very successful, because fame and success are not always hand in hand. Our other girl, Amber Riley from Glee, plays the young plays a young woman. I'm not going to give away no clues. If you've already saw it, then you already know what the backstory is. But she becomes very, very she's very, very obsessed with the Raven Goodwin character. Our girl K Michelle is in it. And I have to say, a pleasant surprise when I saw Single Black Female. Our girl, the original Aunt Viv, Janet Hubert, is in this one. She plays Raven Goodwin's mom, and I'm happy and she does a good job. She is good in her role, and I have to say, Miss Hubert, it is an honor and a privilege to be able to see you back doing the thing you love again, and I hope to see more of you, and I hope to even see you behind. I also hope to see one day you get behind the camera, if that's a passion. That seems to be a I think every actor wants to try their hand at directing at once. So I will speak it into existence. I'm happy to see you back doing your passion. No more blackballing, no more blacklisting. I'm glad that you and Will make peace, and I thank God to see you in this movie. So, and I hope to see even more of her. It's been a long time since we've really seen her in anything. So I hope to see her in even more stuff. And I look forward to the day where she starts to make her own directorial debut, and we get to see some stuff with her name on it as a producer or director. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? The possibilities. So, so that was a pleasant surprise. The movie, in and of itself, I may do a review for my short thing. It's really good. It's very good, very suspenseful. Um, the only thing that bothered me was the backstory. They could have peppered some more clues throughout the beginning of the movie. I don't like it when people when I get the feeling that the person is running out of time to present us with the backstory, so everything gets lumped near the last, let's say, one third of the movie. Um, I tend to like more clues peppered in through the beginning. And I watched it twice. The second time I watched it, because I was busy doing things around the house while I was watching it the first time, not always a good idea if you're wanting to sit down and review it. So the second time I watched it again, and the second time I watched it, I enjoyed it a little bit more because I was able to see things that I wasn't able to see the first time that I watched it. And so I'm going to give this one a thumbs up, um, because, and whoever the director is, whoever is responsible for this vehicle, I want to see more from. I don't know, if I do a review, of course, I'm going to do more research, so I'll have more information on the director and their history with films and whether or not it's a debut or if it's their sophomore effort or whatever. I didn't have time to do that, but these are just things that, if you whether you're celebrating Black History Month or whether or not you are, Valentine's person, whichever one you associate February with. With me, it's more Black History Month than Valentine's until and for me, I always celebrate during years that I don't have a sweetie. Um, I tend to celebrate Valentine's Day as a day of love for those of us that don't have a sweetie. And even if you do have a sweetie, there's nothing wrong with showing love to people in addition to showing love to your Valentine. Everybody, the world can be your Valentine. So don't restrict it to just couples. I hate when I am around people who want to make you feel like a loser because you don't have a significant other. You're not. And the Bible says you're not. Both single and married are blessed states. If you are single, not really in a relationship right now, or you're all states of single. Like, I like to address all states of single, whether you are single and never married, which, I fall into that group, whether you're never married, but you in a long term relationship, whether you're newly divorced or newly broke up, or you're talking to somebody and you're trying to think about whether or not you want to be in a relationship, or you're in a situationship. As long as you are legally single or some semblance of single, you can follow my blog, Black Spinster. I tend to like to put a lot of insights in it about being single, being saved, wherever you are on the abstinence journey. I like to discuss that because a real part of being a single saved person is the whole issue of, being tempted. And it's not just your hormones and being tempted sexually, but also being tempted emotionally. What people don't prepare you for when you are going without, people, well, what about horniness? Shoot. What about emotional horniness? What about when you want to be hugged and held? And what about the stuff that you miss? Like, as a woman, with this weather like it is, I miss having a boyfriend that could knock the car. I just miss the stuff that, when I had boyfriends in the past and was in committed relationships and dating, I miss the things that I used that that a good man around the house does. I miss that part of it. The emotional bonding and everything when the relationship is healthy. What I don't miss is toxic relationships. Like, the arguing, the power struggles, the abuse, psychologically, emotionally, the cheating. Like, there's blessings to being single until you meet someone, and I always like to give people tips on how to deal with that. Like, when you're going through that period, get around some people that care about you. This um this weekend, I celebrated my baby cousin's 45th birthday. Not to, Lisa Bean, if you're listening, not trying to leak your age, because some women are sensitive about that. And I like to respect sensitivity. I don't, because people like we give women a hard time when it comes to that whole thing. But we had a little surprise party. She got to meet my little addition, my G baby, Giovanni. So and she hadn't seen my daughter in a long time, so she got to see my daughter. My daughter posted pictures and made my son when made my son homesick and everything. It was good to sit and be. Sometimes it's good to be around people that don't got no other agenda except to love you because you're family, and you just want to be in the company of some good people with some good cooking and some good activities. I we Her son put the party together, so this was we he put together. We had a painting party, so this was my contribution to the painting party, Black Lives Matter. And I, painted the sign and everything. They had it where you could take the paintbrush and paint the sign. It was outlined, and you just put your own color and own spin on it and everything. So I just decided I kept mine kind of basic. A brown fist. If I could have found a pink, those of you who know I like pink know, if I could have found a pink background for that background would have been pink. I just wanted to keep it nice and simple. I didn't want to get outrageous, but some of the people like multicolored, and I was like, shoot, I almost want another canvas. So can I get a do over? But it was a fun party. Like I said, sometimes when you are going through those seasons of loneliness or missing having someone in your life, get together, like I said before, the weekends, throw you a adult pajama party. And then, not just women, men can have sleepovers, okay, with their friends or whatever. No, with their friends, but like with the ladies, like, have your friends over, have an adult woman pajama party. Um, I thought about when in the days when I was, selling Avon, which I still do. I thought about doing one of those themes so I could sell Avon and everything, and I may still do it. Okay, but you just never know. So, to talk about YouTube. So, some of the YouTube that I have discovered over the weekend, the celebrity channels, if you like following your favorite celebrities on social media, there are many celebrities that now have um, YouTube channels, a thing that developed over the pandemic because, as movie theater people, production studios, different people took some L's. Many people had to convert their movies to streaming format so that people could watch them from home. And many people were making movies available for once the theaters opened back up for the theaters and streaming so that you could do both. Um, and so they were able to do that. So if you like, following different people or hearing their insights on different things or seeing, it's almost like reality television for YouTube because the person is, talking to you. So, and am I following a few? Yes. The Black Authority, I found this one channel called The Black Authority, and they had some interesting insights on the whole Whoopi Goldberg thing. So many of you know Whoopi has been given, we call it 2 weeks in the street for those of us who had, for those of us who've had jobs or whatever. So he gave an interesting perspective on chess versus checkers and how, his thing was, I have always said that no matter how wealthy, how popular or famous you become, there is always that defining moment where the power structure will let you know that you are not white. Everybody, seemed like every famous artist that I've known, or every famous person that I've known that was black, had that moment. That moment where you wind up with a bunch of mess being thrown at you that they know if a white person would have been found guilty of that same thing, they would not have had to go near. It happened with Janet Jackson with the whole Super Bowl thing. We'll be going through it now. Now, one of the things he said that I did not agree with is he was like, "See, this is what happens when you think that you're one of them," and I'm like, I don't think that either one of these women thought that they were part of the white power structure at all. Okay, never thought that they thought that they were white. I think we need to stop punishing black people for daring to succeed at something and be good enough in their field to where they are recognized and have the type of success that Janet Jackson and Whoopi Goldberg have. They're both icons in the fields that they're in. However, like I said, there are many people who resent when we have success. And all of them ain't black. We tend to want to think that of the crabs being black. Some of them are. But once you get so high and you show, oh, you serious about this thing? You serious about this thing? You really truly is trying to get in a position where you don't have to play ball with us and don't have to deal with no crazy. Yeah, okay. Well, we gonna show you us. I just watched a thing on the Take where the first one was they have a thing where they're talking about how to know if a movie that you are watching is by a particular director, and they talked about the DNA of each director that is left on their movies, and they talked about Spike Lee. And then they did another one where they talked about Black Klansman because as long as Spike Lee has been around, Black Klansman I think was his first Oscar nomination or win. I know, as long as his career. And I can remember saying years ago, me and my mom would do our own little Monday morning playbacks on different films or different Oscar, award nights when I was a big award addict. And I would say, now they gave that person that because they have been snubbing them for the past 50, they've been snubbing the person for the past 20 some years. And now they want to turn around and reward them by make up for them snubs by giving them something now that they done got old. And they do it not just for directors, they do it with actors too. Like it could be other movies, which I'm gonna be honest with you, Black Klansman earned that Oscar. Okay, it is a good movie. If you have never seen it, you owe yourself to see it. One of the things one of the things me and my mother always liked about Spike Lee is he doesn't call it a movie. Spike Lee, if it's a Spike Lee movie, it's a Spike Lee joint. So this is a Spike Lee joint I've never met a joint. I've never met a Spike Lee joint anyway. I did not wind up liking when I saw it. So he's an excellent director. But if you see Black Klansman, I promise you, it is a good movie. It checks all boxes. It's a really good movie. It stars Denzel Washington's son as a man called Ron Stallworth. Ron Stallworth was actually a real person, and they basically infiltrated the local their KKK. And at the time that they infiltrated, David Duke was in charge of them. So yeah, these are names that I'm throwing out here. Let me see here. These are names that I'm throwing out here that yeah, you may want to Google. You may want to Google them. You may want to Google Ron Stallworth, which I did. I ain't gonna lie. You may. Let me see here. So John David Washington is the son that plays Ron Stallworth. Very handsome fella, looks like his mom and everything. Really nice looking young man. Um, real nice looking young man. Looks like his mother. Um, let me see here. So David Duke, let me see. So David Duke was over the National Association for the Advancement of White People, European American Unity and Rights Organization. But at one point, he was, I think, a Grand Wizard. Girl, I don't know all the names, but at one point he was. Let me see here. Yeah, He's a former Grand Wizard of the KKK. So he was the Grand Wizard at the time that this movie is set in. I remember when he called himself stepping down and called us a former one-time Republican, Louisiana state ran for public office. I'll put it that way because you have to read his information for yourself to know every public office that he wound up holding. I can't remember if he was successful because I wasn't paying attention to him all that high. But I remember at the time, I'm like, now anybody who falls for that, I'm like, you just stepped down 5 minutes ago so you could run for office. It's quite clear that you are still that person. So it's a like I said before, I want to get too far off topic, but it is a good movie. You owe it to so even though it almost seems like one of those Oscars that they give you after you'd have been around forever and a day. This one, I'm like, well, it was still a really good movie, so he deserved the Oscar getting it. You owe it to yourself to see this movie. And I'll be honest with you, if I were a kid in school, I would probably do a book report on some of this stuff for Black History Month. So, let me see here. As I've said before, YouTube has movies. You can see now. You don't have to be paying $5 a pop every time you want to see a movie on YouTube. That some of the channels even air movies, so you can see movies free on YouTube. You can also see YouTube movies. They have free with ads, which means you'll see some commercials. The nice thing about YouTube is some of the commercials you can hit skip and not have to worry about sitting through them. They also have rentals and you also can purchase them. So if you decide you want to, like I said, with this weather like it is, if you decide you want to, if you're in a Netflix and chill kind of move, see about YouTubing and chill. And see if you look may want to look at some of what YouTube has to offer. Many of the movies Many of the movies that are on there are first releases. Like many of the movies that they have on there, they are getting movies like quick, like within a week or two of theater release. And some of them they're getting at the same time that they're in the theater. So if you don't want to, if you're a germaphobe and you don't want to have to sit in a crowded germy theater, then YouTube may be the channel for you. And for those of us who are into Black history, they are actually a good source for anything. I kudos to Real Black, the guy who has the Real Black channel on YouTube. I saw him in the Bill Cosby documentary, Kamal Bell's documentary. So many of our YouTube stars are becoming YouTube. They call them YouTube celebrities, but they're actually becoming actual celebrities. So they're doing their thing. Um, I also discovered another news channel called BNC News. So I'm going to go ahead and see, click on this, open this up. So, my feature channel today, I'm talking about BNC Black News Channel, Truth. So, BNC is the nation's fastest growing news network. Black News Channel is We just said that, and the only provider of 24/7 multi-platform programming dedicated to covering the unique perspectives, challenges, and successes of Black and Brown communities. For far too long, people of color have been overlooked and underserved by the news media. BNC is committed to building bridges of understanding through inclusion and equality with balanced and thoughtful coverage that illuminates and celebrates people of color. They provide an unbiased, apologetic and presentation of the nation's top stories, as well as culturally specific content that is not presented anywhere else. BNC's programming features exclusive interviews, expert commentary, insightful debates, and in depth analysis from leading Black voices. So this information is courtesy of the BNC.TV news site. If you want to go on it and look, they also have a channel on YouTube that I'm subscribed to, and I follow it. There's a few of them. I also follow Fox Soul. So if you want to know, if you want to watch number one news that represents you, where you can see some people who look like you, even if you don't always agree. I think that's one thing we have to get rid of is the thought that being Black, you have to think a certain way about certain things. Not everybody's going to agree with us all the time. Now, there are times, though I saw some interview with what's her name, Candace Owen. There are those that are ridiculous. Okay. Now, I think this week I'm gonna get around to doing these podcasts. Like I said, I'm not only going to talk about notable figures from African American history. I'm also going to talk about um, I'm also going to talk about different issues that affect the Black community. One thing I can say is this: I look forward to this being a Black history where we break a whole lot of stuff and open up a whole lot of conversations that can continue year round to the next Black History Month. I recognize that there is a move now where people are saying Black History Month needs to be celebrated all year long, or needs to be taught all year long. I agree, but I'm not willing to part with the February celebration of it just yet. No, T-Pain, I don't think we're dividing ourselves by talking about notable figures during that time. So I'm going to go ahead. Adams Rib Media Ministry is going to go ahead and continue because I believe, whether you know it or not, when you're talking about don't celebrate it until they have it in all schools in all 50 states, um, on some level, you may be helping with the evaporation of it. You have to keep in mind that there are some people who resent us even having a month to celebrate, African Americans' accomplishments. I have 28 Days of Black Feminism. And, this started off as something that I was just posting on my Facebook page to let Black women know, there are a lot of us represented in the feminist movement and in the fight for equal rights. Oh, well, that's that's a civil rights person. Oh, but read their bio. Many of the same people who had the dog in a fight during during the civil rights movement were also key components in the fight for equal rights for women, and namely Black women. So I'm going to go ahead and get off here. I've enjoyed talking to you guys and everything. I'm going to enjoy it again this Friday. So this Friday morning, I am, basically going to give any highlights that happened between today and Friday, and also, talk about next week's dedication. I mean, this coming Friday's dedication, and give bio on the artist. I'm probably going to give some quick biographical information on the artist for Saturday night's concert as well here in Columbus. So you guys have a good week. Enjoy your week. Those of you who, everybody that's working or whatever, or if you're working from home, wherever you are doing your thing, enjoy yourself, enjoy your weekend, try to stay warm, try to stay out of the cold if you can help it. Hopefully, they have gotten some of these salt trucks into you guys' neighborhoods to get some, clear off some of the streets in some of the neighborhoods. The major thoroughfares here in Columbus, they've gotten to, but the people in the neighborhood still ain't been shown no love yet. So hopefully they'll, and hopefully it'll warm up a little bit this week. So you guys have a good one. Love all of you, and I will talk to you later. Peace out.